In the quiet town of Somerton, strange occurrences were as rare as rain in the desert. Nestled between sprawling mountains and dense forests, its inhabitants lived simple, unassuming lives, far removed from the chaos of the modern world. It was a place where everyone knew everyone, and life moved at a slow, predictable pace. However, this serene existence was shattered one fateful night by an event that would forever alter the town's destiny. A blinding light streaked across the sky, leaving a fiery trail in its wake. It moved with an unnatural speed, and the deafening roar that followed shook the very ground beneath the townsfolk's feet. The object crashed into the nearby woods, sending a shockwave that was felt for miles. Terrified and curious, the people of Somerton hesitated to investigate, their minds racing with the wildest possibilities. Whispers of alien invasions and government cover-ups spread quickly, fueled by fear and ignorance. Jason Miller, an ex-Marine living on the outskirts of town, was the first to respond. Known for his stoic demeanor and troubled past, he had earned a reputation as a loner and a protector, albeit one haunted by the ghosts of war. To many, he was simply a killer, a man marked by his actions in battle. But beneath his hardened exterior lay a heart capable of great empathy, a trait that would soon be put to the test. When the crash occurred, Jason instinctively grabbed his rifle and set off into the woods, his military training kicking in. He moved swiftly and silently through the trees, his senses alert to any sign of danger. As he approached the crash site, the smell of burning metal and the hum of unfamiliar machinery filled the air. What he found among the wreckage defied all his expectations. Amidst the twisted remains of an otherworldly spacecraft lay a small, fragile girl. Her skin glowed a soft, luminescent blue, and her hair shimmered like stardust. She was unconscious, her body bruised and battered from the impact. Jason's heart softened as he knelt beside her. He saw not an invader, but a child in desperate need of help. Gently, he lifted her into his arms and carried her back to his cabin. There, he laid her on his bed and tended to her wounds with the utmost care. Days passed, and the girl slowly began to heal. When she finally opened her eyes, Jason saw a mixture of fear and curiosity in her gaze. He introduced himself, speaking softly to reassure her. He named her Lyra, after a constellation he remembered from his childhood. As Lyra regained her strength, she began to communicate with Jason through a series of gestures and sounds. She revealed that she was from a distant star system, sent on a mission of peace. Her ship had malfunctioned, leading to the crash that brought her to Earth. Lyra's gentle nature and her fear of being hunted struck a deep chord with Jason. He vowed to protect her, knowing that the townsfolk would not be as understanding. Meanwhile, in Somerton, the townspeople's fear and paranoia grew. Strange occurrences, such as the mysterious disappearances of livestock and eerie lights flickering at night, fueled their anxiety. Mayor Thompson, eager to maintain order and protect his people, called for a town meeting. The decision was unanimous. They would search for the alien threat and eliminate it. Jason knew time was running out. He fortified his cabin, turning it into a fortress. He and Lyra devised a plan. Using the remains of her ship, Lyra constructed a device that could send a distress signal to her people. But it needed time to charge. Jason stood guard, ready to confront anyone who dared to threaten the fragile peace they had found. As the townsfolk armed themselves and set out into the woods, Jason prepared for the inevitable confrontation. His past as a soldier had taught him the value of strategy and determination. He was no longer fighting for his country, but for an innocent life that had become entwined with his own. The bond he shared with Lyra transcended the boundaries of their worlds, a testament to the power of compassion and understanding. The night was still and silent as Jason and Lyra waited for the device to charge. The cabin, once a place of solitude, had become a sanctuary for an unlikely duo. As the first rays of dawn began to break, they knew the moment of truth was approaching. The fate of Lyra, and perhaps the very nature of humanity, hung in the balance. The town of Somerton, normally a peaceful and close-knit community, found itself gripped by fear and suspicion. The mysterious events following the crash had stirred a deep-seated paranoia. Livestock disappeared without a trace. Strange lights flickered in the night sky, and the whispering winds seemed to carry ominous messages. The townsfolk, unable to explain these phenomena, looked to their leaders for guidance. Mayor Thompson, a man more accustomed to handling small-town politics than crises, found himself thrust into a role he was ill-prepared for. Desperate to maintain order and protect his constituents, he called for a town meeting in the old church hall. The atmosphere was tense, and the air was thick with a mixture of fear and anger. "We must find and eliminate this threat before it brings any more harm to our town," Mayor Thompson declared, his voice trembling with unspoken fear. His words were met with a chorus of agreement, the collective anxiety of the townsfolk boiling over into a unanimous call for action. Sheriff Evans, a tall and burly man with a stern face, took charge of organizing the search party. He was a man of action, known for his no-nonsense approach to law enforcement. Under his leadership, the townsfolk armed themselves with rifles, shotguns, and makeshift weapons, ready to hunt down the so-called alien menace. Meanwhile, Jason and Lyra watched the preparations from the safety of the cabin. Lyra's eyes, usually full of gentle curiosity, were now clouded with worry. She had sensed the growing danger and the hostility brewing among the humans. Jason, though resolute, felt the weight of the impending conflict. "We don't have much time," Jason said, his voice calm but urgent. "We need to keep them at bay until your device can send the signal." Lyra nodded, her luminescent skin glowing faintly in the dim light of the cabin. "I will work as fast as I can," she promised, her voice soft and melodic, carrying an undercurrent of determination. The search party set out at dawn, spreading through the woods with the precision and determination of a military unit. Sheriff Evans led the way, his rifle at the ready, his eyes scanning the trees for any sign of the alien threat. As they moved closer to Jason's cabin, the tension in the air grew thicker. Jason fortified the cabin, using his military training to set up traps and barriers. He knew that a direct confrontation was inevitable, and he prepared for the worst. Lyra worked tirelessly on the device, her fingers moving with a speed and precision that belied her fragile appearance. As the search party closed in, they found themselves facing an unexpected challenge. Jason's traps slowed their advance, and the dense forest provided natural cover. Frustration mounted as they struggled to navigate the obstacles. Sheriff Evans, growing impatient, ordered his men to press on. Finally, they reached the clearing where Jason's cabin stood. Sheriff Evans raised his hand, signaling for the men to halt. He stepped forward, his voice booming across the clearing. "Jason, we know you're in there. Hand over the alien and no one gets hurt." Jason stood his ground, his rifle at the ready. "She's not a threat, Evans. She's just a child, lost and scared. We need to help her, not harm her." Evans' face twisted with anger. "We can't take that chance, Jason. The safety of this town comes first." As the standoff continued, Lyra's device began to hum with power. A beam of light shot into the sky, a signal to her people that pierced the tension like a knife. The townsfolk, momentarily blinded by the light, paused their advance. Taking advantage of the momentary distraction, Jason stepped out of the cabin, his rifle lowered. "Please listen to me," he pleaded. "Lyra is not our enemy. She's a being of peace. If we show her kindness, she can help us understand more about the universe." Mayor Thompson, standing at the back of the crowd, stepped forward. His eyes, once filled with fear, now reflected a glimmer of doubt. "What proof do you have, Jason?" he asked, his voice wavering. Jason gestured towards the cabin. "Come and see for yourselves. Lyra's device is a beacon calling for help. Her people will come and we can show them that we are not a threat. But if we attack, we may start a war we cannot win." Sheriff Evans, still wary, lowered his rifle slightly. The other townsfolk followed suit, their curiosity overcoming their fear. One by one they approached the cabin, their weapons lowered but still ready. Inside they saw Lyra, her delicate form bathed in the soft glow of the device. She looked at them with wide, innocent eyes, her fear evident but her trust in Jason unshaken. The sight of her, so vulnerable and unthreatening, began to chip away at their hostility. Mayor Thompson, moved by the sight, turned to the crowd. "We need to reconsider our actions," he said, his voice calm but firm. If Jason believes she means no harm, then we owe it to him and to ourselves to listen. Sheriff Evans, though still cautious, nodded in agreement. We'll give her a chance, but if there's any sign of danger, we'll act. Jason breathed a sigh of relief. The immediate threat had been averted, but the real challenge lay ahead. They had to prove that humanity's true strength lay not in fear and aggression, but in compassion and understanding. As the townsfolk slowly dispersed, Jason and Lyra knew that their journey was far from over. The beacon had been lit, and now they had to wait for Lyra's people to respond. In the meantime, they would work to bridge the gap between two worlds, showing that even in the face of fear, kindness could prevail. The days following the standoff at Jason's cabin were tense but transformative. The townsfolk, though initially wary, began to visit more frequently, driven by curiosity and a slowly growing sense of acceptance. Lyra, with Jason by her side, shared stories of her home and the peaceful mission that had brought her to Earth. Her gentle demeanor and earnest desire to connect gradually won over even the most skeptical hearts. Mayor Thompson took it upon himself to organize meetings where Lyra could speak to the townspeople. These gatherings, held in the town hall, became a forum for healing and understanding. Lyra explained the malfunction that had caused her crash and the distress signal that now reached out to her people. She spoke of her planet, its advanced civilization, and their longing for peaceful exchanges with other worlds. One evening, as the sun set over Somerton, the sky lit up with a familiar yet awe-inspiring sight. A rescue ship, sleek and radiant, descended from the heavens, its soft blue lights casting an ethereal glow over the town. The townsfolk gathered in the clearing near Jason's cabin, watching in silence and wonder as the ship landed. From the vessel emerged a group of beings similar to Lyra, their expressions a mixture of relief and curiosity. Lyra stepped forward, her luminescent skin glowing brighter in the presence of her kin. She introduced Jason and the townsfolk to her people, bridging the gap between worlds with her words and actions. A figure who appeared to be a leader among Lyra's people approached Mayor Thompson and Jason. With a deep, resonant voice that echoed in the minds of all present, he spoke. "We are grateful for the kindness and protection you have shown our young one. Your actions speak of a capacity for compassion and understanding that we value deeply." Mayor Thompson, humbled and moved, replied, "We were afraid of what we did not understand, but Lyra showed us that fear can be overcome with trust and empathy. We hope this can be the beginning of a new chapter for both our peoples." The leader nodded. "Indeed, we seek peace and knowledge, not conflict. Let this be a lesson for all of us, that even in the face of the unknown, we can choose to reach out with kindness rather than aggression." As the night deepened, a celebration of sorts began. The townsfolk and Lyra's people mingled, exchanging stories, gifts, and knowledge. Children played together, their laughter a harmonious blend of earthly and alien sounds. It was a night that would be remembered in the annals of Somerton as the beginning of a new era. However, the time came for Lyra to say her farewells. She approached Jason, her eyes shimmering with a mixture of gratitude and sorrow. "You saved my life and showed me the best of humanity," she said softly. "I will never forget your kindness." Jason, his heart heavy but proud, replied, "You've taught us just as much, if not more. We'll never forget you, Lyra. You've given us a new perspective on the universe and our place in it." Lyra embraced Jason, a gesture of deep affection and gratitude. As she stepped back, she handed him a small glowing crystal. "This is a token from my world. Keep it as a reminder that we are not alone in the universe and that there are friends among the stars." The moment of departure was bittersweet. Lyra boarded the ship, and with a final wave, the vessel ascended into the sky, disappearing among the stars from whence it came. The townsfolk watched in silence, feeling a mixture of sadness and hope. In the days that followed, Somerton found itself forever changed. The town, once isolated and insular, now had a story that connected it to the stars. Jason, once seen as a killer, was now a hero, his actions having bridged a gap between worlds. The townsfolk, having faced their fears, emerged with a newfound sense of unity and purpose. Mayor Thompson, reflecting on the events, proposed the establishment of a Center for Interstellar Studies in Somerton, a place where people could learn about other worlds and prepare for future encounters. The idea was met with enthusiasm, marking the town's commitment to embracing the unknown with open hearts and minds. Jason, now a respected figure, took on a new role as a mentor and protector, guiding the town in its journey towards a more inclusive and enlightened future. The crystal Lyra had given him became a symbol of hope and friendship, a reminder that even in the vast expanse of the universe, connections could be made and understanding could flourish. The legend of Lyra and Jason became a beacon of hope, inspiring generations to come. It taught that fear could be overcome by compassion, and that even in the darkest times, the light of kindness could bridge the vastest distances, bringing worlds together in peace and harmony.